with AI just exploding into our classrooms, it really feels like everything is up in the air. But what if the biggest question we should be asking isn't what can AI do? What if it's something totally different? Today, we're going to dig into a new way of thinking about AI in education, one that puts the student's brain, not the tool, right at the center of it all.
So, when this tech first showed up, pretty much the first question on everybody's mind was, okay, what can this thing actually do? I mean, it's a totally natural place to start, right? We want to know its capabilities, what it's good at, what its limits are. But what if that's actually the completely wrong place to begin? See, by focusing only on what the tool can do, we're kind of missing the whole point of what learning is even for.
Now this is the question that changes the whole game. It flips the script, it takes the focus off the AI and puts it right back where it belongs, on the student. Because look, AI can already write a decent essay. It can solve a math problem. If learning is just about spitting out a final product, well, AI is going to win that game every single time. But we all know it's so much more than that.
And that, right there, gets to the absolute heart of it. Real learning isn't just about the finished product. You know, the essay you turn in or the correct answer on a test. It's about the process. It's about that messy, internal wrestling match you have with an idea. That's where the real growth actually happens.
And that leads us to this really crucial idea, productive friction. And look, this isn't just about things being hard for the sake of being hard. No, this is the necessary struggle. It's that moment where you have to pause and really think and try to connect the dots to figure out how something works. It's the cognitive heavy lifting that actually builds your mental muscles.
And this is where the real danger lies. AI is amazing at making things easy, at smoothing everything out, at removing that friction. But if it removes all the productive friction, if it gets rid of every single challenge, then it also completely takes away the opportunity for any real learning to happen.
Okay, so how do we use this incredibly powerful tool without, sabotaging the whole point of education? Well, we have to start seeing it as one of two things, either a partner or a substitute. And the most important thing to get is that the difference isn't the AI itself. It all comes down to the tasks we give our students. This chart just lays it out so perfectly. On the one hand, you've got AI as a thinking substitute. It basically does the work for the student. It makes the decisions, it completes the task, and the student completely bypasses that essential struggle. But then, on the other side, you've got the thinking partner. Here, the AI helps the student think better. It acts like a collaborator, generating possibilities, surfacing new perspectives, and even challenging their assumptions.
So what does this actually look like in a classroom? Well, you can think of it like a new job description, really. It's pretty simple. AI is in charge of generation, and the students, they're in charge of judgment.
Let's be real. AI is a generation machine. It can spit out a dozen ideas for a thesis in seconds. It can pull up counterarguments you've never thought of. It can draft 3 completely different ways to explain a scientific concept. Its job is to create this rich world of possibilities for the student to explore. But, and this is so important, the student's job is judgment. It's their job to sift through all that stuff the AI generated. They have to evaluate which explanation is actually the most accurate, decide which argument is the most persuasive, and, here's the key, justify why. They make the final call, they develop the real understanding. And this is exactly why that division of labor is, well, it's non-negotiable. Skills like critical thinking, discernment, and real understanding, they simply can't be outsourced. You can't have an AI develop your sense of judgment for you any more than you can pay someone to lift weights for you and expect to get stronger yourself. It has to be done by you. So when we start thinking this way, it completely changes the entire conversation we're having about AI in our schools. The focus shifts away from trying to police the tool and moves toward elevating how our students think.
You know that old question? The one that came from a place of fear and suspicion was just, did you use AI? It basically treats it like it's contraband, something you're trying to catch students using.
But check this out. The new question is so much more powerful. We ask, so what did you do with it? See? That question assumes it's just another tool in the toolbox. It immediately puts the focus on the student's choices, their process, their thinking. And it's the same idea when it comes to evaluation. We used to just check for completion. Is the assignment done? Are all the boxes ticked? But now we check for reasoning. We don't just care about the final answer anymore. We want to see the thinking behind it. How did you get there? Why did you pick this option instead of the other 5 the AI suggested? So this is the big takeaway, really. AI is not making thinking obsolete. Not even close. It's actually raising the standard for it. It's automating a lot of the lower-level stuff, which means that those uniquely human skills, like critical judgment and real creativity, are becoming more valuable than they have ever been.
And that leaves us with this huge, fascinating question to think about. I mean, in a world where an AI can generate a pretty good first draft of almost anything, an email, a legal document, a piece of art, is it possible that the single most important human skill is becoming better judgment? The ability to see what's there and know how to refine it, elevate it, and make it truly great? Maybe that's the question we should all be asking.